Welcome. My name is Victor Medina, and I'm an estate planning attorney in Pennington, New Jersey. Today I wanted to talk to you about life insurance, and I promise to make this as entertaining a video as I can on that subject. I was just watching the Today Show, and it turns out that they had a financial expert on the TV talking about life insurance and estate planning. They had a question about it, and she gave the completely wrong answer when it came to estate planning. I was very concerned that anybody watching that would have the wrong answer, and I wanted to give anybody watching this the right answer. So let's first talk about whether or not life insurance is included in your estate or not. Because a lot of times when people will sell you or attempt to sell you life insurance, they'll tell you, well, this is not included in your estate, and therefore that's a benefit. That's a question, or that's a statement that is a little bit misleading, because it is true that life insurance is not included in your probate estate. It doesn't have to be probated as an asset unless it's being paid to a minor. So when you have a life insurance policy and it pays out on your death, those proceeds go directly to the beneficiary without having to go through the court process, again, so long as the beneficiary is not a minor child. But it is also the case that that life insurance, in almost 95% of the cases, is included in your estate. Understand the difference there. You don't go through the court process to pay it out, but when you file a tax return at your death, those proceeds are included in your estate, and it has to do with the definition of something called incidence of ownership. And that's a little too technical to bore you with right now. You don't really care, I promise you. Except that if you own the life insurance policy, and if you've paid the premiums, and if you can control who the beneficiary is of that policy, then you have the incidence of ownership, and therefore the proceeds of that life insurance policy are going to be in your estate. Okay? Sometimes when people sell you life insurance, they'll tell you, well, life insurance is non-taxable. And that's only partially true. Remember, anytime anybody tells you that something is not taxable, your response has to be, which tax? Because there are any number of them that might be applicable in your case. We've got income tax, we've got inheritance tax, we've got estate taxes, we've got gift taxes, we've got generation skipping transfer tax. Which tax is it? You've got to ask them, and hopefully they have the answer. Well, when it comes to life insurance, it is true that life insurance passes income tax free. So there's no income tax due on the proceeds of life insurance. However, there may be estate tax due on that amount of money, and there may be inheritance tax due. So it will be included in your estate, and if your estate turns out to be a taxable estate, then those proceeds are added in, and whatever tax is owed, it's owed. We want to be very careful when we talk about life insurance in which taxes apply. Okay? Now, I want to tell you about the Today Show, because it gave a piece of advice that was wrong, and I want you to have the right piece of advice. The question was, how do I reduce the total amount of my estate so more assets can pass to my heirs when I die? And the answer that was given is you could transfer or change the beneficiary designation on life insurance to your children, and that would take it out of your estate. That's wrong. That's very clearly and unequivocally wrong. Right? Simply changing the beneficiary designation, or who's going to receive the money, will not remove your life insurance policy from your estate. And there are techniques that we can do in terms of transferring a policy into an irrevocable trust or taking out a new policy where you don't have those incidents of ownership that will take that amount of money out of your estate and preserve the wealth. However, simply changing the beneficiary designation form to somebody that's your children, someone other than you or your spouse, will not do it. So don't do it. And I hope I've made that clear. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it's been informative and helpful. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.